Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to another exciting episode of Rediscovering Your Passion and Purpose with Patty. I am your host, Patty Stuhlin, and I am the Chief Pathfinder of Pathways with Patty. This week, my guest is Pamela Sommers. She is an international award-winning, best-selling author and founder of an international multi-award-winning jewelry and accessory boutique called SommerSparkle, which has been featured in several publications, including British Vogue. She has helped many with her best-selling self-help personal growth books, Life Lessons from a 40-something for the Best Start to Life, Building Castles in the Sky, How to Make Your Dreams Come True, Fabulously You, Live a Life You Love, and Fabulously You, Feel Amazing and Thrive. Her work has been featured in Success Magazine, Thrive Global, HuffPost, The Independent, Metro UK, House of Coco, LadyBossBlogger, and many more. Pamela is passionate about helping people to be the best they can be and empowering them to go to their dreams. Pamela, welcome and thank you for being my guest today. How are you doing?
I'm great, thanks. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It is so wonderful. And if people did not guess by your introduction, they will notice shortly, getting to hear you talk more. You are in the UK, correct?
That's right. Yes, I'm in London.
Excellent. Well, that is great. And I hope things are going well over there. As I said before, I'm so excited for you to share your story. I know when we talked briefly a couple weeks ago, I was excited to have you be a guest on the show because your story is so wonderful, and what you have done with it, what the outcome has been from your challenges. It's just a phenomenal story, as I now know from looking at your bio and everything else. So with that said, please share with our audience your story of where you've been and where you are now.
Thank you. Well, I think I'll start with my entrepreneurial journey, really. It all happened by accident, and I mean literally an accident. It was one hot summer, and I decided to tackle the garden, and I'm by no means a gardener. So I bought some heavy-duty gardening tools online, and there were some really tall rose bushes at the front of our garden. And let's just say it was kept being put off. So I thought, no, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to try it myself. So I went out there determined to hack down these rose bushes, and these tools were really heavy. And I started hacking away, and then all of a sudden I found it quite hard because the stems were like getting thicker and thicker as I went down, the lower I got. And then all of a sudden, my hand started shaking. So I thought, oh, perhaps I'm just tired. I need a glass of water or something, because it was really hot. So I went to reach for a glass of water, and I couldn't hold it. My hands was physically shaking. And I thought, oh, no, that's not right. Something's not right here. I continued a little bit, being a bit stubborn as I am. And then I realized, no, this is actually getting worse. So I stopped. And then I went to the doctors, seeing a few doctors, hospital and everything.
So Pamela, real quick, up to this point, you've never had anything like this before happen. Is that correct?
No, not with my hand. I mean, I did have, when I was about 9 or 10 as a child, I did have an incident with my legs at one point where I got up, I tried to go and get some water, funny enough, in the middle of the night. And I had trouble walking, I must admit. And that was a completely different situation. But I wasn't able to go to school for quite a long time. And I remember having to be carried everywhere as a child. It was very scary, yeah.
Right.
So
okay.
I suppose that was way back then, but not as an adult, not like this anyway.
Okay.
And I'm right-handed, so I use my right hand for everything. And this was my right hand. Mm-hmm. And after seeing, like, having tests done and everything, they basically said, well, we waited to rest it and everything else and do the, and see what would happen. But nothing happened. It didn't get any better. So I tried to go several times. I was working in a Catholic school at the time, and a job I really enjoyed. And I kept trying to go back, and they said basically, you can't. You need to go back. You can't work. You'd be no good to anyone, basically. So after seeing several doctors, they basically said to me, look, you can't work with this. If you do try, it's going to cause permanent injury. And they basically said I had limited use of my right hand. I couldn't use it.
Mm.
And they actually said that they wouldn't be able to perform surgery because at the time it was too intricate to perform. It would actually more high risk of making it worse than actually getting better. So you can imagine it. I mean, I was absolutely devastated. How was I going to support my family? I couldn't even do the basics. I needed help getting changed, getting dressed, washing my hair. Oh, it was a nightmare. I was totally devastated.
Was it affecting just your hand, or was it your entire arm?
It was really from my hand to like my wrist, sort of that sort of area. So I needed help, even like cutting my meals, cooking, everything, like housework, everything. So this went on for some time, and they checked my nerves and everything, and it was really scary. It was a horrible place to be in because I felt so useless and helpless, to be honest.
Right.
And I was in a dark place. I'm a Christian, and I prayed. I remember getting down on my knees and asking God, help me. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go next, what to turn. All I can think of that this happened for a reason, And I kind of thought there was a reason in it, although I couldn't see it at the time. It's very difficult to see when you feel like, oh, you can't help anybody. It was very difficult to see. And then it was a visit to the physiotherapist. I was sitting in the waiting room, waiting to be seen, and the receptionist looked over. I'd bought myself a sparkly bracelet just to chain myself up, a bracelet. And this receptionist, she looked over and she said, oh, that's a lovely bracelet. And she started talking about this bracelet. And funny enough, it may sound really trivial, but this compliment meant the world to me at that time. I went home after the appointment with a spring in my step. I was practically skipping home, and it may sound trivial, but I was so down before. It's almost like I forgot how to smile again. And this bracelet sort of changed me. I don't know if it just took me out myself or what, but it really did make my day. It brightened up, brightened me up.
And I also think up to this point, with a lot of us, we get so down on ourselves because of the things that we're not able to do anymore. And we get into a funk that we don't think that we have much of a purpose at that point. And, they're not able to fix it for you. And so you're just kind of, like you said, you're in a down place. And this woman, just by making eye contact with you and validating you as you exist, and look at this nice bracelet you have. I mean, that, like you just said, that meant the world to you because she validated you. And, that's part of what I have brought up many times on this episode is sometimes it's just the simplest things that can make such a huge difference to somebody else. Making eye contact and just saying hello or good morning or how are you? I mean, it's that simple, and it doesn't cost you. It's priceless. It doesn't cost you anything except a few moments, a few seconds of your time. I mean,
that's right. Yeah.
It's priceless. And that's what that woman did for you.
Yes. You can change someone's life. It really can. Later that evening, it was strange. It was like this, the bracelet was twinkling at me almost. And I thought, you know what? That feeling, how I felt special, I want to share that with someone else. I want to make another woman feel just as special as I felt. It really did, inspire me. So I thought, what can I do? What can I do? And it was thinking differently. In a way, my mindset shifted then, and I can see it now. And I thought, no, how can I help someone? It was a complete turnaround.
Pay it forward.
So I thought, yes, exactly. So I thought, I know what, I'm going to sell a few of these bracelets, just see what happens. I've never done anything like this before. Let me try and see. You never know. So I did. I bought a few more bracelets, started selling them, and it took off. people were buying them. People loved them. They wanted more. So my son built a website, and we took it from there. We started selling more and more, then started expanding the brand, more jewelry, and it went on from there. And then I thought, where else? When does someone else feel so special? And I thought, oh, I know, on their wedding day, or like special occasions. So the categories sort of expanded. We were doing wedding jewelry and everything. Then we all of a sudden started winning awards, several awards, and then publications started getting in touch. British Vogue got in touch.
At this point, is your mind just going crazy about how you cannot believe how just this, what you thought was such a simple idea, has just exploded? I mean,
I mean, it really did. I mean, it sort of basically took me out of myself and took it from a different position that I could help others. And I started getting excited and enthusiastic. It's like, it's just like, yes, I can do this. I can help others in this way. Feel that good. That thing of feeling amazing, feeling special.
Right. In the meantime, while all of this is happening, what is happening with your hand? Are you still not able to use it?
Yeah. Well, I couldn't. I couldn't. All I had to do was literally, I had to get creative, shall we say. So I could only sort of ever use it for the most 20 minutes a day. So in that 20 minutes, my did I pack so much in, I'll tell you.
Yes.
But in the meantime, when I couldn't use my hand, I was learning as much as I could. I learned about online marketing. I learned all about the other side of stuff, and everything that went to on how to build a business or anything like that. Funny enough, years ago, I worked in banking for quite a long time, and I was actually helping other businesses with their what they were doing. And a gentleman at the time said to me, "Oh, you're making me so much money. You should be doing this for yourself." And at that time, I was like, "No, I'm quite happy now. I'm in my safe, secure job. I do not want to ruffle when it feathers. I just happy doing what I'm doing." I was really like all into stability, nothing else. So there's no way I wanted to venture from that. So that was quite interesting, that shift. So then British Vogue got in touch, and then other publications got in touch, and it kind of went from there really. And then I started, it just went from there. Then one evening, there was something on the news, and it was basically saying how young people at the time were committing suicide. I don't know if it was a trend or anything like that, but I was really disturbed by this, because I remember a time when I was younger and how I had those kind of thoughts, and it really touched my heart. I really thought, oh my word, and it took me back to how I felt then. And I thought, what can I do? How can I help them? There must be some way I can help them. So that night I thought about it, nothing came to mind. And then the next morning I thought, I know, I'm going to write a book. And in this book, it was almost like me talking to a younger self, younger version of me, and what I would have said to that person, how I would help them through it, how a person I wished I had around, I think, at the time. So I basically shared those things about how to build self-esteem, self-worth, showing yourself some love and kindness, how that you are enough. And it all started from there. So that book, Life Lessons from 40-something, was basically me holding up my hand to a younger person, helping them up, And so I started writing, and I wrote this book. I thought I was only going to write one book, and I thought if I could help one person, that would mean so much to me. That would be my task done, if you like. And then what happened was, it won an award, 5-star award of excellence, and people started getting in touch with me. I remember receiving messages from someone from Japan, someone from Italy, and all over the world, saying to me how much it's helped them, how they find it really relatable, and all things like that. And I thought, oh, I'm really helping someone. It's actually helping someone. And I thought, and they said, oh, thank you. And they actually thanked me for writing this book, and stuff like that. And I thought, oh, I can't just leave it as that then. And it was almost like I got a message saying, no, your work isn't done here. You've got another
Right.
book to write. And
Right.
it went
Right.
on from there. That became a bestseller.
Hmm.
And then I carried on writing. And my next book, Building Castles in the Sky, that actually stemmed from a conversation I had with my late mother. She's no longer with us. And as a teenager. And at that time, I was very much into music. I loved music. I loved singing, songwriting, loved it. And I was telling her about my plans for my music career. And she just looked at me, smiled sweetly, and said, "You're building castles in the sky." And I remember being really cross at the time. I was a teenager. I was not happy about this. And then, but now, later on, I looked at it and I thought, actually, she got a point. I was building castles in the sky, but you know what? You have to have the idea first in your head before
Yes.
you can actually make it reality.
Yes.
So in a way, I flipped the script, I reframed it, and that was my next book, Building Castles in the Sky, How to Make Your Dreams Come True. And it was
Mm-hmm.
basically about how to take that idea from your head and make it happen, make your dreams
Mm-hmm.
come true.
Mm-hmm.
And that became an international bestseller, Amazon. And
Oh
that
my
was,
gosh.
and it
You,
just,
you have the golden touch, my friend.
but the thing is, it wasn't like, I didn't know anything about, it just happened. It was
Mm-hmm.
like, when you feel that something you're meant to do something, and it
Mm-hmm.
was almost like I felt like I was being led for every step of the way. I never knew that this was going to happen. I didn't
Well,
know what was going to happen next.
I know that you had mentioned that you're a Christian, and many of my guests have said, where they have felt that they heard the voice of God. I know that I have had that myself. Not that I'm actually hearing a voice, but in my heart, in my
Mm.
mind, I hear that. Is that something that you feel is what was happening during all of this?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's definitely that inner knowing that you're meant to do this. And to be honest, you have to be open as well. And I was open,
Mm-hmm.
um, curious, and just open and just willing. And I think trust plays a big part in it. Trust,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
trust that you're being led to where you need to be to help
Right.
people,
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and just like you just mentioned in the book that you just explained, you really we all dream, but it's a matter of taking that dream and truly believing it. And if we truly believe it, then we can achieve it. It may not happen overnight, but
No,
it's amazing how you just because of this woman who said, "I like your bracelet," led you to writing these books. That was probably never anything that was on your radar. I mean,
not at all. No,
that's incredible. And it also would have never happened if this would not have happened with your hand.
true. This
What
is
you
right. Yeah.
what you thought was something horrible, look at what it has done for you through this
I
journey.
know. Yeah.
That's
And it was,
amazing.
yeah, I mean, I thought it was the end of the world, that I couldn't do anything. I felt absolutely helpless. And it just like transformed really, you know, and,
Mm-hmm.
and, now I'm here and I'm still writing and I really do passionately believe that it's never too late to start again because like I was in my 40s when I started, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just never too late. It's there's not a closed door unless you put it there.
Right. So with your Fabulously You books, what is the main purpose behind those two
Yeah,
books?
and that's really reiterating that it is never too late. My the first book in the series is basically about reconnecting to yourself and falling in love with yourself and your true self, your inner self, because I think so many times we spend our times comparing ourselves to others.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to tap into yourself, your unique gifts, because there's something wonderful about each and every one of us,
Right.
and we forget this. We
Yes, we
do. We
do.
forget.
Yes.
We're too busy seeing what other people are doing our daily things that we have to do, like our job, our chores, and everything else. And I think we forget to look at ourselves sometimes, and it's all about falling in love with yourself again in a way,
Mm-hmm.
and that you're blessed and realizing how blessed you are,
Mm-hmm.
and just reconnecting with that. And the next book is all about feeling amazing and thriving. And that's really about reigniting your passion for life and your finding your purpose, and more motivating to make the most out of your life, because we only have one life. So,
Well, and it's just like when you and I had originally had our first call, and I told you the basis of this podcast is, I really truly believed I was going to be a teacher at least until I was 65 years old. And here I am, early 50s, and I'm realizing I'm burnt out. I don't want to do this anymore. But my whole identity had been wrapped up into being a teacher. So if I wasn't going to do it anymore, what was I supposed to do? And I knew from a mental and physical standpoint, I needed to get out at 55. And that gave me my 30 years as far as in my school district. But I still had no clue as to what I was going to do. To think that in the last 7 years, I have been rediscovering my passion and purpose that led me to doing this podcast, which once and all the other things that I have been doing, I never, ever dreamed of any of these things. But again, I also knew that God was telling me, I'm closing this door because I have this other path I want you to take. And it is about taking a leap of faith, because we're so into us making the plans. And whether you believe in God or Buddha or Allah or whatever your universal source is, it is about a leap of faith and taking that first step. That's always the hardest one. And you may not understand what it is you're going to do, but the possibilities are endless of what it can lead to. Because this is one of the greatest blessings I've ever had in my life, is to be able to do this podcast and get to bring people like you, your stories, and others of hope and inspiration and motivation for others, because you took a leap of faith. You went from a very dark and depressing time to just what you thought was just going to be a simple thing just to make somebody else happy. And now look at how you are affecting people worldwide. I mean, that's incredible, Pamela. I mean, it really is, that you just kept taking those steps forward. You kept listening to that inner voice, your soul, your gut, whatever you want to call it, and you kept moving forward with these thoughts and ideas, and you just didn't dream about it anymore. You believed it, and you took the steps. And that taking that first step, it's the hardest. It's the hardest thing to do.
It's the hardest, but it's the most necessary.
Yes.
It may only be a small step, but you just don't know where it's going to lead.
Right. Well, and I think too, where you had said that, you were in your 40s. Well, a lot of times, and I don't know what it's like in the UK or anywhere else in the world, but I know pretty much here in the United States, there is this, we're losing our respect for our elders, number one. And we have this mentality that, once you hit middle age, that's it. There is nothing left for you to do. Or when you retire, get out that rocking chair. And the thing is, if that's what you choose to do, you be the best rocker that's out there. If you choose to do golf or crochet or knitting, same thing. You be the best out of it, as long as it's your passion and purpose. But do not think just because a company or an organization or social media or anybody else says, you're middle age, so it's time for you to get out there, you're out to pasture. I mean, no. I mean, I'm living proof of that. I'm 62. The last 2 years, I mean, who knew that I would do talks in Las Vegas, in Texas. I'm going to do a TED Talk in Delaware in December. I created this business. I'm doing this podcast, and I'm not doing this to toot my own horn. What I'm doing is to emphasize your point that here you're thinking you're in your 40s, and people are already thinking, well, there's nothing left for me to do. You know what? This is when we are at our best. We have these life experiences. We have all this knowledge. We are a resource that needs and should be, and I know that I always say don't should on people, but we are a resource that needs to be used, because we have so much to give and so much to offer.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you're an inspiration. You really are. You've got so much energy, life force. You really are.
Well, thank you. But but my point being, there are so many of us out there that we still have lots to offer and lots to give. And the only thing that is stopping us is ourselves. I mean,
Mhm.
yes, there are going to be those people, and if you've been a steady listener on my podcast, you know that there are people that what I call will yuck your wow. When you say, "Oh, well, I think that I'm going to start a podcast," there are certain people that you're going to come across that's going to say, "You're 62 years old. I mean, you've done your time. You know, you had your career. Why not just sit back and relax?" This is, I mean, believe it or not, this is fun for me. This is
Yeah,
enjoyment. And I feel that it is part of my ministry at this point to do this and bring people stories. But you know, don't think that just because everybody tells you, well, you're done, you're not. You're only
that's
done
it.
if your mind and your body and your soul tells you, because I know for me, I want to make sure that when my time comes for me to meet my maker, I have put it all out there. I didn't
Mm.
have any would haves, could haves, and should haves, and all of those sort of things, and any regrets. Not that my life is perfect or has been perfect, and I haven't made the wisest choices, but I've
Mm.
learned from the choices. I've grown from the choices, and I kept moving forward. And as long as I keep learning and I keep growing, I have something to offer the world. It's when I
Yeah,
stop
absolutely,
growing and I stop learning that I know is it for me. And I never want to get to
absolutely.
that point.
That's
And I
right.
don't
Yeah,
want and I don't
absolutely.
want anybody else to ever do that either.
No, no, that's right. I mean, I always say, don't be afraid of starting over. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting with experience. That's a big
Yes.
difference.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yes, that's perfect. Say that again, because that's an aha moment.
Don't be afraid of starting over. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting with experience.
Hmm. Amen to that. Yes. Yes. And I really think because we have those naysayers and those people that yuck our wow, even though we could have 10 people that say, that is a great idea, you would be so good at that, we
Mm.
always let that one negative comment
Yes.
or negative remark stop us.
Yeah.
And why don't give that person that much
No,
power and that
no,
much control.
absolutely not. No, no,
They're not the voice for you to listen to, you
no,
know?
no. I mean,
It,
there's always going to be distractions. You have to
yes.
stay focused on your path, what you're
Mm-hmm.
meant to do.
Yes, yes. And obviously, so with you, writing these books, what is it that you are currently doing?
Well, I'm writing my next book at the moment, but I'm helping um, other women, empowering them to live their best life and basically realize just how capable they are. Because I think a lot of women don't, they don't.
Mhm.
Some of them stand in the shadows and are afraid to go out there and grab what they want to do. I mean, I don't know whether they're afraid of other people, what they would think, of judgment. There's so many limitations that, fear. And I think, no, you only have one life. It's time to get out of the shadows and shine your light. Step
Mm-hmm.
onto that stage, take center stage of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I offer what I like to call heart to heart coaching as
Mm-hmm.
well to
Mm-hmm.
help women, come out of the shadows, overcome those adversities, and do what you're put on earth to do.
Now, is there a certain time in your life, or has it just been something naturally that you have always had this passion for helping others?
I've always had a passion. I remember from a young age. I think I'm one of these people that always try to see the good in others,
Mm-hmm.
no matter
Mm-hmm.
what. So no matter what, I mean, I didn't have the easiest, shall we say, of childhoods. I had lots of trauma in my life. I lost my mother young as well. But I think I always try to flip around and see what can come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a bit like the coals, you can polish it up and then create diamonds. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like that really. I always try to make the most um, and look, not just look for the positive, but really sort of shift it, change it, and help others. I always try and help others through something. I think I've always done that. As a younger age, it was through music. Recently, I'm doing a lot of art. Like last year, I enrolled in an art class. I hadn't done art in ages.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, when you forget you haven't done anything since school, and then all of a sudden I'm out of my comfort zone. I've joined a local art class, art group, and I can see others like they seem a lot more advanced than me, but I'm willing
Mm-hmm.
to give it a go.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
you know, and I might not be brilliant, but I'm expressing myself in a creative way. I'm going out of my comfort zone,
Mm-hmm.
and in a way, I'm helping others as well, because it's funny how even though I'm in an uncomfortable situation, I'm actually looking at it with humor, really, of what I'm doing. But I've noticed, I felt like I was put there for a reason, because I noticed other people come to me and then they start speaking to me, and then they kind of open up and tell me their problems and things, and I find
Mm-hmm.
myself helping them in that sense. So you never know where God's going to put you. You know,
Right.
you never
Yes.
know.
Yes. Yes. Well, and it's so interesting that you mentioned about, having this creative outlet, because my weekly letter that I put out to everyone that's on my email list, and I'll put a little plug in right now that if you'd like to receive my weekly newsletters, for those of you out there listening or watching on YouTube, you just have to go to my website and you can get on my email list and I'll get those out to you. But this week's newsletter, which comes out today, is talking about uh, the art inside of you and the creative process and what it does for you mentally, physically, and spiritually, whether it is drawing or painting or dancing or singing or playing a musical instrument, or it's just about going out and going and doing almost like those childlike behaviors that we once had. And they have just found that when you do that, when you get involved in that, it has so many physical um, properties to it, of lowering stress, helping with depression or anxieties, and all of this. And it is a creative outlet. And there's art therapies now, for people to get in touch with things that they have suppressed all these years. And I know for myself, in part of my article, I talk about how my friend Sue, when she knew I was really stressed out when I was teaching, she said, I want you to start just Zen doodling. And I didn't know what that was. And she said, whatever comes to mind, it doesn't have to make any sense. You just start drawing. And if you choose to color it in, then you do that too, but just start drawing. I've been doing that for the last 10 years. And I'll tell you, it is truly a happy place for me. And the time flies by, because
Yes.
there's no right or wrong to it. That's the other thing I like.
Yeah.
There's no you don't make any mistakes. You can color outside of the line. You can think outside of the box.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's awesome. And I also find, like you just said, in that creative process that you're with a group of people. It's almost like sharing a meal with somebody. People open up and they express
Yes.
themselves.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And it's
all
that
good.
connection as well, the connection that you get as well. And I love
Yes.
how you say about expressing yourself, and it's almost meditative. You
Yes.
you get lost in it, you get immersed in it, and yeah, time flies. It's just
Yeah.
it's beautiful, beautiful.
Yes.
And it's my happy place as well. Yeah, and I never knew that was going to happen.
Well, and our junior colleges and art studios around us, even though I'm in a rural area in Southern California, our junior college offers so many. I mean, I took a beginning drawing class, and they have photography, and I mean, and really, it's very reasonable as far as the cost. And then I've even discovered there's a couple little, art studio places that are here in our area, and there's a whole world you can tap into of taking painting classes or any of this stuff, and they really are very reasonable as far as the cost goes. So I encourage people to look in in those directions if it's something that you ever thought. I mean, all the time I'm hearing about people that are my age that they'd never painted before, they never drew, and oh my gosh, the stuff they're creating
Yeah.
is
Amazing.
incredible, just
Yeah.
because they tapped into an
Yeah.
unknown source that is, oh, I'll give it a try. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important to maintain that childlike wonder, you know, that
Yes.
curiosity, I think,
Yes.
is priceless.
Well, and that's one of the things I tell people, if you've lost your passion and purpose, think back to when you were a child.
Yeah,
What were the
yeah,
things that you enjoyed? What were the things that
yeah,
made you happy? It's okay to tap back into that again. If you
yeah.
played hopscotch or you played checkers or whatever the case may
Mm,
be, do it again. Nobody has to see you
absolutely.
do it,
No, no,
or
just do it for
or
fun. Yeah,
exactly, or ask interact with your grandchildren or another child or whatever if you have forgotten
yeah,
what that's like. It's important.
yeah. I
Just
think
because
so.
you're an adult does not mean you have to act adultish all the time.
You don't have to always follow rules like that, do you? Like
Exactly,
you said, to stay
exactly.
in between the lines.
Yeah. So now with everything that has happened on your journey, going from your handshaking to creating all these incredible things that you have done, what would you say has been the best advice that anyone has ever given you?
I would say, what other people think of you is not your concern. It's nothing to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once I really accepted that and went into that mode, it was a complete game changer for me. I think before I was stuck in the loop of being really self-conscious growing up and comparing myself to others, feeling I wasn't enough, that whatever someone else is doing is always better than what I was doing, and things like that. Stuck in a loop, if you like. But
Mm-hmm.
actually, fear of judgment, worrying what other people will think. I think it's just stopped so many people from doing the things that they really want to do. But once I had taken that on board, it was a complete game changer
Mm-hmm.
because you can't
And
control what other people think or
right.
say or do.
Well, and as we mentioned before, you're going to have those naysayers, but don't give them that much power over you.
No.
Yeah. Excellent. So right now, where you are in your life, what would you say that you are passionate about personally and professionally?
I'm passionate about, seeing the possibility in others and helping them realize just how capable they are. I think some people have got so much potential, but they're even fearful of even just getting a glimpse of it. And if I can just help them just lift that lid just a little bit and just let them see just what they're capable of,
Mm-hmm. Very good.
that'd be
And then
something.
right now where you're at, what would you say is your purpose personally and professionally?
I think my purpose is actually giving hope to others and
Mm-hmm.
helping them, encouraging them to keep going and helping them realize um, that there is a light.
Mm-hmm.
There is light at the end of the tunnel, and no matter how dark the moment seems to be, everything is temporary. There is light.
Very wise words. What would you say is your superpower?
I think my superpower is listening, but listening to someone's deepest needs and listening like from the heart, having that heart to heart connection. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's my superpower.
And that's a great one. How would you say that you are living your best life, or as I say, living your best dash?
I think having the freedom to be creative and I get to share it with other people. I think
Mm-hmm. Very good. Are there any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you would like to share with our audience?
I would say you're here for a reason. You have your unique gifts to share. Don't stay in the shadows. Step forward and shine your light.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Love it. Well, thank you so much, Pamela, for being my guest today. Could you please tell people, because I know after they are hearing this episode, they're going to want to talk with you more. How can people reach out and connect with you?
Certainly. My website is Pamela Sommers, that's SOMMERS.com. And there's also a free gift there if they'd like to download it. It's a mental fitness guide to help you in life because we all have ups and downs, and it's all about helping you with your mental resilience, really. Because fitness is not just for your body, it's for your mind too.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. What a generous thing that you're doing with the free gift. I really appreciate that. And I know our audience will too. And for those of you listening or watching on YouTube, know that at the end of this episode, go to the description of the episode. And in that are the links that Pamela just mentioned. And you'll want to go to that link so you can get that free gift that she just mentioned. But more than anything, I know many of you will want to get in touch with her and talk with her more about how she might be able to work with you in rediscovering your passion and purpose, or finding your passion and purpose. Once again, Pamela, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And for those of you out there listening, please get out there, subscribe, hit that follow button so you can follow this podcast. And then that way you get a notice of when the new episodes are dropping every single Wednesday. And as you've been able to tell, if you've been following along these past 2 seasons, our guests just are a wealth of knowledge, motivation, inspiration, hope, and joy. So go ahead, if you're enjoying it, invite your family and friends to also listen or watch the podcast as well. So don't forget to check out my website, www.pathwayswithpatty.org. You can sign up for a chat with me. We can just talk about, what your passion and purpose is, or what you think it is. Or if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, we'll talk about that as well. So until we meet again, continue to live your best dash and know that life's an adventure. And I want you to enjoy the journey, because your life matters. Thank you for joining us today, and may God bless you all.